My name is Zane Moi. I'm actually from a company called Research Promotion, as Martin introduced. And for those of you that aren't aware of what Research Promotion does, we're actually a wireless company, and we're actually Canadian-based with about 10,000 employees globally. Now, most people know Research Promotion for one thing. It's actually the BlackBerry wireless solution. So just a quick show of hands, how many people are BlackBerry users today? Oh, that's great. Well, if you're not, we actually have a special sale. Just kidding. We actually don't sell direct. But now, most people know us for BlackBerry. And if you don't know what BlackBerry is, it's a solution which allows you to be able to sort of extend your office to your pocket, essentially. So while you're in presentations like this or meetings or while you're traveling, you're able to actually keep in touch with your office, your colleagues, and your friends. Today, we actually have about 19 million subscribers worldwide. And we're actually a company that's recognized for innovation. But I'm actually not here to sort of hard sell you on BlackBerry, but instead they've asked me to come here to talk a bit about why we established our office here in Hong Kong. Now, today in Hong Kong, we have about 60 staff. We have an office out in Quarry Bay. And it's an office where we have our executive management, some sales and marketing staff, and also support staff that support the region as well too. Now, when most people talk about making an investment in Hong Kong, particularly if you're a multinational, you look at some of the basic things, some basic things that you will hear from colleagues, Hong Kong TDC, from marketing materials, and to be honest, these are things which are very important for Hong Kong as well too. You know, if you look at this concept of factor endowment, so for those that taken your MBA or something along those lines, you'll notice this is kind of an academic type term, but it's quite important in Hong Kong case, in that Hong Kong, of course, has great geographic position vis-a-vis China and rest of Asia, world-class infrastructure, highly skilled workforce. Of course, whenever people talk about investing in Hong Kong, they also talk about things like business policy and the pro-business policy, advantageous tax system that you have here as well too. And I think also as important, and I think Peter talked a bit about it in terms of his relationship with Hong Kong TDC. We have strong relationships with different networks here as well too, whether it's Hong Kong TDC or the various chambers like the Canadian Chamber, American Chamber, or other organizations. The thing is though, this might not be the reason why you actually moved to Hong Kong in terms of starting your business. In our case, actually it wasn't. And I think this is something which is worthwhile to have a think about as well too, for us. You know, back in 2002, when we signed the deal with Hutch, we were brought here because it was the natural flow of business. So for a lot of us, I think it's the same as well too. A lot of us in this room today, we have some sort of affinity to Hong Kong. I'm not sure why it is. Sometimes it's business, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's through relatives or marriage or girlfriends or boyfriends or what have you, but we have some affinity to Hong Kong. And in the same way, businesses have an affinity to Hong Kong as well. And so in our case, we were just brought here. We were brought here because Hong Kong was a market which we were naturally attracted to and which we naturally found business partners in. And so in Hong Kong, it was actually the place where we were first able to sign our first contract, and was a place where the negotiations were straightforward in a Western sense, where we had acceptable legal terms, acceptable legal jurisdiction in terms of where our contract was set, and where, to be honest, it was profitable as well too. And when we looked at Hong Kong, we didn't just look at Hong Kong as a bridge to China. We looked at Hong Kong as a domestic market in and of itself. Now most companies might not look at Hong Kong in this way because they might say the population base is too small. But in an organization like ours, that's very technology-centric, Hong Kong was a perfect experimental place for us to start selling BlackBerry. Had a very large multinational corporation install base, has a very large English-speaking population, and of course from a technology standpoint, take a look when you walk around. Right? Did you know this? Hong Kong has a mobile phone penetration rate of about 145%. That's no joke. I'm not making this up. It's 145%. So what does that mean? It means, you know, if you start talking to people are carrying multiple phones here. It's not just one. You know, there's one for every dog and cat probably in Hong Kong as well too. So when we first came to Hong Kong, then we were brought here naturally, and I think we did what a lot of you will do or have done when it comes to Hong Kong as well too. And we started with folks similar to me. So I'm actually not local. I'm an expatriate. And when we started our business in Hong Kong, we first brought over expatriates to Hong Kong. And of course, people will talk about lots of different reasons why Hong Kong is so attractive in this respect. But we started with a mix of expat and local staff. And we used Hong Kong as sort of a business development base to expand our business into Asia. And so we've grown from one carrier partnership to over 30 using Hong Kong as our base. Today, though, and I think it's worthwhile to talk about this, we've changed. I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing, but we've changed. Now we've decided to decentralize the way we operate here. And so now Hong Kong acts more as a regional base, which is focused on Greater China versus some sort of Asia-Pacific sort of base. And instead, we've actually now opened additional satellite offices in Singapore, in Japan, in China, in Australia, in India. What we've done as well, though, is we've changed the type of organization that we have in Hong Kong. And so I'm one of the rare sort of pseudo-expats that's left. Actually, I'm not an expat anymore. I've actually, last year, I changed over to a local package. It's quite beneficial from a tax standpoint because I'm originally from Canada. But we've changed now to local staff, very local-oriented staff. And this is a very interesting thing, I think. And I don't know that I can say that I can offer you real best practices or things that will help make your businesses successful. But I can tell you what we're doing today, and I can tell you that I think we're pretty comfortable with the direction that we've recently taken. So a couple of things. In the course of transitioning from an expat-based organization to one where we have local staff, we've identified one, I think, it's a very obvious thing, but I think very important thing. And it's that Hong Kong is a fantastic place to start your Asia-Pacific operations simply because, and you can look at this in a good and bad way, simply because you can steal staff from other MNCs. And there's something very good about this if you think about it. If you hire their staff, then you have people that are local, but have an understanding of how business is done in the countries that you've come from. And this leads into the second point. So Hong Kong for us is not just that physical bridge to China, which a lot of people look at when you're in import-export, when you're starting your business. But Hong Kong becomes a bridge for us from a cultural and language standpoint as well, too. So, you know, it's something even simple from a language standpoint, something to think about in your own businesses. If you're looking to manage business, it's in Hong Kong or in China or other parts of Asia, and you're the one that's responsible for building that business, there's something called liability of foreignness. Has anyone heard this term before? Maybe if I put it another way. What is the world's most spoken language? It should be Chinese, right? And it's probably the logical thing. But to be honest, it's bad English. Bad English is really the world's most widely spoken language. And so if you think about it, now you hire staff locally in China. You hire local staff in Indonesia, hire local staff in other countries where language becomes a barrier. And you're relying on, well, bad English for communicating with these folks. This actually becomes a liability to you. Do you know why? Because how do you know what is coming through back and forth is actually accurate? So in the particular case of China, so we started down the path of hiring local staff in China. And it's not to say that they're bad staff. In fact, they're fantastic staff. But something is lost in translation when your management is Western-oriented, English, based in Canada. And so Hong Kong staff have taken on a new and prominent role within our organization. They are now this language and cultural bridge. It's not to say that you can take a Hong Kong staff and dump them in Shanghai or Beijing or Guangdong and have them operate properly. There's still cultural barriers and relationship and Guangxi barriers that are in place that have to be overcome. But sometimes you need to have your Hong Kong staff create this bridge for you and create this confidence level for you when you're dealing with people in another country. So in our case, our Hong Kong staff are actually people that, to some extent, even act as checks and balances for us. Now, I don't want to have this come through as a bad thing. But to be honest, there are bad things that happen. Things which are right and wrong, black and white, are not black and white or right or wrong in China. Everything is gray. And so if you come from a Western standpoint, in our company, we're publicly traded. We have Sarbanes-Oxley requirements. We have corporate governance requirements. And gray can't work for us. We can't accept gray. We can only accept black and white. And one of the advantages that people have, the people from Hong Kong have, is they understand black and white. They understand how business is supposed to be done in the West and how business is supposed to be done in the East. And although they can't replace local staff, they've become an important part to our business. In the end, no matter what, I think everyone is here because they have some sort of interest in business in Asia. I wish you the best of luck with things. I'm not sure if what I've talked about makes any sense to you, if there's any benefit from it, but I appreciate the time that you provided to me today. Thank you very much.